Hey everyone, Wisdom Say here. This is guide for round 4 of the Nations Cup 2021 exhibition season. Let's get this started. Now for this lap guide, we're starting a little earlier into this lap because I want to point out that you want to take this turn as best as you can. So you want to try to get the rotation out of this car, which I'll explain later, and take full advantage of this white curb as that is still considered on-track limits. And as you're about to start your fast lap or your qualifying lap, you want to bring yourself towards the right side of the track to build up a bit more speed. For the Nissan R92CP, rev the heck out of this car, shift just before you hit the rev limiter. This first turn is pretty tricky, so at the 100 meter board, I'm going to start to turn in. Notice the red dot above the shift bar as that is my turning input. Then start to brake just as you pass this sign on the right. Brake hard for a super short moment, then start to ease off of the brakes right away. And you want to ease off of the brakes nice and slow so that you can let your car cruise for a moment. Try to go for a late apex so when the curb on the left ends, and if you get it right, you can get a really fast exit without touching the walls. Then this part you can easily take a flat out. Just don't forget to rev the heck out of this car. Then bring yourself towards the right. And your next braking point is just as you pass this sign that is on the right before the 100 meter board. Brake hard for a short moment. Start to ease off of the brakes and start to turn in as you pass this final sign that is on the right. And you can see me briefly go down to second gear for extra rotation. Take advantage of the curves. Slowly start to accelerate and then shift up to third gear. That way you don't get any turbo lag if you do it right, and if you do it right again, you won't end up touching the wall. And if you have a really good lap, just bring yourself towards the left side of the track and wait until the turn finishes before you bring yourself towards the right. But that's all for the lap guide. Let's go ahead and take a look at the strategies. For this qualifying session, you have 5 minutes to try to get a good qualifying time. With these lap times here at Infield B being pretty short, you're going to have quite a few chances to try to get a good qualifying time, but with the tower being pretty high, which it's at ×9, you do want to eventually pit and get new tires or do what I call the jump out and jump back in method, where you jump back to the menu, not the main menu, the menu of the lobby that you're in, and then go back in and you spawn in with a new set of racing soft tires and off you go. Rinse and repeat until the qualifying session ends. Also, make sure that when you're about to start your qualifying lap, get turn 4 right. So the turn we just went through, you want to make sure that you get it right and then bring yourself towards the right side of the track. So just do what I was doing right now. You'll be able to build up a bit more speed and get a fast start to your first or second or whatever so qualifying laps. Now this is where it gets a little strange because slipstream can be pretty useful here at Blue Moon Bay, but you do have to deal with turns 1 and 4. So turn 1 is obviously the long left-hander before the actual bank turn, and then this is turn 4 right here, which I think is a rage-inducing corner because you're probably going to end up hitting the wall. And you want to try to make sure that you don't end up hitting that wall because it's going to cost you quite a bit of time. And part of the reason why I'm pretty iffy about getting the slipstream is because of the dirty air making your car more understeery as you go through this turn, which is turn 1, and turn 4. So the dirty air, it interferes with your downforce, so you don't have all the downforce to go through a turn at the usual speed, which means that you have to slow down or you risk understeering. And this is especially the case with turn 4 because if you start to understeer, you're most likely going to end up hitting the wall. So just because of that, especially in the lower lobbies, I would say try not to get under anyone's slipstream. However, let's say you're finishing up your lap and someone in front of you hit the wall, so you're quickly catching up to them and you end up in the slipstream. This is an exception because you're able to go a little bit faster, which means that your lap times will improve because you're going just that little bit faster. So that's a bit of an exception when you're finishing your qualifying lap and you end up under someone's slipstream. Then yeah, that's an exception. Take advantage of it. But other than that, then you're probably going to be better off qualifying by yourself, so you can enjoy all that clean air and make your car go through turns 1 and 4, especially those turns, at its full potential. Now, I did mention the jump out and jump in strategy, so after you do 2 to 3 qualifying laps, this is where you're going to do what I'm about to do right now. So when you finish your lap, you press options, exit, and in the lobbies, all you have to do is press enter course, and you'll spawn back in at the pit box, and then you can just go again. Or during the actual FIA race itself, the button will be replaced by a button called qualifying, so you press that instead. This basically saves you from having to do all the pit stop animations, especially with the pit stop animations being longer now. It saves you all that stuff, so all you do, you just spawn back in at the pit box and you're back out. Do another 2 to 3 laps, rinse and repeat until you run out of time. For this race, we are doing 29 laps at Blue Moon Bay Infield B, and we're doing this with Group 1 cars, but the most notable cars that you're going to see being used are going to be the Nissan R92CP and the Sauber Mercedes C9. So these two cars, they're both really fast, they have really good high-end top-end speed, but there are a couple differences between the two cars. So the Sauber, which you'll see later, it rotates around the turns a little better and accelerates a bit better, but it is a little less stable. But the Nissan R92CP, that one is a bit better when it comes to top speed. It's a bit more stable, but it is a little more understeery. Fuel is a ×3, so fuel will not be an issue for some cars. With the Sauber, fuel is a bit of an issue, but as long as you don't over rev the car, then you should be fine. Tire wear is a ×9, which means that tire wear will be a problem and it'll come at you fast. You're given the racing soft and medium tires, and both tires are required for this race, so you do have to pit at least one time. And with the pit loss being 17.5 seconds, you're only going to want to pit once. So let me talk about Slipstream, because it's a very good and bad thing here. Let me show you why it's very bad. So I'm under the slipstream of Roar Fox in front of me, and I go a bit faster, which means I have to brake a bit earlier, but because I braked a little too late, and because I'm dealing with the dirty air, I'm going to end up braking a bit late, hit the wall, and P3 is going to bump me because he was right behind me. So you have to be very careful whenever you're under someone's slipstream. So whenever you're within 3/4 of a second behind someone, you're under their slipstream, which means that you have to be very careful about how you approach turns 1, which we just went through, and turn 4. If you're not careful, you risk understeering, you risk losing a lot of time, and especially for turn 4, you risk hitting the wall, lose even more time, get bumped by people behind you, and now you're going to have a bunch of angry people hanging out behind you. So if you're approaching these turns, just brake a little earlier, and then just take your time getting the car to rotate around the turns before you get on the throttle. Now, slipstream is good because you can go a lot faster. Just like what I'm doing right now, I'm going faster, and it's going to give me the opportunity to work with 3rd place to catch up to 2nd place. So I'm going to give the bump draft to 3rd place, so he's going to go a little bit faster. I am still under slipstream, so I'm going to go a bit faster, and then I'm going to bump him, rinse and repeat. Just make sure you don't do a bump draft right before a braking point. And because we worked together just now, and we work together again right now, we're able to catch up to 2nd place. So slipstream can be good in this scenario. It can let you go a heck of a lot faster. It can let you break away from groups behind you. It can let you catch up to groups ahead of you. So do take advantage of the slipstream to work with others, because teamwork makes the meme work. Now let's talk about the pit stop strategies. So this is a bit of an interesting one because you do lose 17.5 seconds, so you're only going to want to go for a 1 stop. How long your racing soft tires last will depend on your driving style, the car that you're using, the brake balance, and if any incidents happen along the way. So ideally you want your racing soft tires to last anywhere from 12 or even 13 to 15 laps. Do not go past 15 laps on the racing soft tires, otherwise you're risking losing too much time. And when you switch on over to the racing medium tires, you're not going to be losing too much time. I think you're going to be like around 3/10 to 4/10 of a second per lap slower. So at that point, halfway through the race, you're better off just switching over to the racing medium tires because your car is going to be lighter. It's used up quite a bit of fuel, so your car is going to go a bit faster. If you're starting in 10th place or below, then you can start on the racing medium tires, get the slower tire compound out of the way. That way, when you switch over to the racing soft tires, your car will go even faster because you're on the better tire compound and your car weighs a bit less. And do be aware that there might be some people, I would say from 4th place to 9th place, there may be a chance that some of these people might be starting on the racing medium tires as well, so do be aware of that. But anyways, let's quickly talk about the cars. So the first car I'll talk about is the Sauber Mercedes C9, which is the car that you're seeing right now. And the really awesome thing about this car is that this car can go through turn 4 really well, just like this. Oh, that is beautiful. So it rotates a bit better than the Nissan R92CP through turns 1 and 4, especially turn 4, because this car is a bit more loose. Especially if you bring the brake balance a bit towards the back of the car, then this car, the rear of the car, will whip around a bit faster and you'll be able to get to turn 4 a bit better. And I had the brake balance at +2, so the car can rotate a bit faster, and so I can save a bit of tire life on the front tires. So this car can also accelerate really well, but there are a couple of bad things about this car. So one of the things is that this car does need to be a bit reliant on the slipstream to be able to really keep up with the Nissans and to even make a move on them, to be honest. So you're going to need to be on the slipstream to be able to make a move on any of those cars. And this is a bit more of a subjective thing, if I'm saying that right. And it's that this car can be a bit too loose for some people. So some people might not like how this car rotates around turns 1 and 4, especially turn 4. So if this car feels a bit too loose for you, then you might be better off with the Nissan R92CP, which is what you're seeing right now. So this car is a bit of the complete opposite of the Sauber C9. So the R92, it's really good when it comes to top speed, and it'll be even better under the slipstream. And this car is a bit more stable, so if the Sauber C9 is a bit too loose for you, then this car, the Nissan R92, might be a better choice for you. But this car is a bit more understeery than the Sauber, so in a way you do have a bit of a higher risk of hitting the wall outside of turn 4. So whenever you're going through that turn, just let the car rotate a bit more, so don't get on the throttle just yet. Just let the car do the rotation, and then you can start to accelerate. And this car, if you didn't notice compared to the Sauber, this car can't really be on second gear for too long coming out of turn 4 because it's just about to hit the rev limiter, whereas the Sauber still has a bit of revs to work with out of turn 4. So you want to be sure that you can nail turn 4 and try not to get that turbo lag, especially as you're shifting over to third gear or if you're just staying on third gear. But still, the Nissan is still a very good choice for different reasons compared to the Sauber. But anyways, let's quickly show places to overtake. The main straight is probably the best place to get overtake done. You have plenty of space to work around with, and this is the perfect place to get a slipstream overtake done before you reach the first turn. And there is quite a bit of space to work with on the first turn, so it is possible to get an overtake done. Just do be careful because you do risk getting into long battles, so you want to make your battles short and sweet. Turn 4 is a very risky place to get overtake done. You can make it work, but you do need to position yourself just right. So in case the car in front of you hits the wall, you want to try to avoid that, get around them as fast as you can. And for those who missed it, here is the penalty serving zone. It is just after turn 3, so you make this turn and the penalty serving zone is hanging out right here. And going back to the overtaking spot here on turn 4, Once again, this is very situational, but it is possible to get it to work. So I kind of go for the undercut on P6 and he hit the wall, so it made my job a lot easier. And once again, I'm going to show another overtake I did over here on turn 4. If you go too wide to turn 4, leave a lot of space. And yeah, this turn it's a pretty dangerous place to get overtake done, so I would suggest trying not to go for any overtakes there unless it's like the very final lap and you're going too wide into that turn. But anyways, that's all for me, so I'm going to go ahead and sign off now. Don't forget, this is a one-stop race. Use both the racing soft and medium tires. But anyways, that's all for me. I'm going to go ahead and sign off now. So this is Mr. MCA wishing you a good race, and I'll see you in the next video.